The wheel articulation, it is really good. Again, straight from the factory, it is one of the best off-roaders. This is a really, really good looking SUV. If I had to get one, it'd probably be this. Not the craziest takeoff I've ever done, and you can see it's just changing gears and changing gears. 0 to 100 in seconds. You guys have been asking for it, and well, here it is. It's the most aggressive Ford Everest you can buy. It's like you go into a bar, you get punched in the face, you're gonna be punched in the face by this Everest. It is, of course, the Everest Tremor. It is the off-road focused Everest, but it is also the expensive Everest. This thing will set you back at $76,590 before on-road costs. So yeah, this thing is not cheap, but this big fat family SUV comes with quite a lot, especially in the off-road department. So I will take you for a full tour of the new Ford Everest Tremor, including how much slower is it considering it has big fat tires and new suspension, and also how does it perform off-road, because that is important to know. Let's get into it. Alrighty guys, let's talk about the way that this thing looks, because yes, it is very different, especially on the outside, from every other Everest. What do you get? Well, you get this new special grille with auxiliary lights in there that are pretty bright, and it's the Tremor grille apparently. You also get this bolder grey paint. It is a premium paint option naturally, but it is a very beautiful color, and if you're going to be getting this, you have to get it in this color. It's so grabbing, just like the tires, but we'll come back to that. This thing does have a rough terrain pack, so you get this nudge bar here, which is actually developed and designed by ARB, and you also get some extra underbody protection. It does come as standard with some steel bash plates, but this gives you extra plastic. So yeah, when you do take this thing off-road, as you'll see, even if you bottom out, you're not really at risk of damaging anything too much. And also it looks cool, but it will cost you $3,500 dues, which is not cheap. You still get your C-clamp headlights. These aren't the matrix LEDs that you'll find on the Platinum. Again, a bit disappointing, because then you get like halogen bulbs, which is crazy to me at this price point, but anyway, you get that. But bright LEDs nonetheless. I do think it looks absolutely fantastic. Oh, and I can't not mention you also get 2 recovery hooks down the bottom. I think they might be upgraded, but I'm not entirely sure. Let's check out the side. Alrighty, so coming to the side now of the Ford Everest Tremor, what do you get? Well, first thing you notice, these very dirtily named General Grabber all-terrain 3 tires. Yeah, these things are dirty in name and dirty in off-road ability. They are actually a very good tire, and thankfully you also get 17-inch alloy wheels, which is good to see. It's about the perfect size for off-roading, so yeah, very, very good. And if you look behind, you get a glimpse of the Bilstein dampers, which is kind of the most exciting part of this thing. Now, it is actually bigger than a regular Everest Sport, because it also has new springs and essentially a lift kit on it. So it's now 30 millimeters wider and 29 millimeters taller. So it does have a really big presence to it, and it does look very cool. You have your V6 badging here. Interesting, because they've actually deleted on most other models. Don't know why it's made a comeback. And you get these matte black mirror caps, which again, look very nice. You also get the Tremor badge here in orange, which again, looks really cool, especially with this bolder gray paint. You've got your blacked out door handles here as well. You also get composite, like metal-esque side steps. They do feel very sturdy, and they are sturdy for off-roading. Tinted privacy glass, matte black roof rails, and a big fat SUV bum, because guess what this is? An SUV. Let's check out the bum. Sorry to interrupt, but we have some merch. Very limited edition, very limited edition. This is our clickbait t-shirt. It says RIP insert car here, because we know you love to click on this. And also a little CarSauce logo on the back. Very tasteful, very demure. These things are AS color. They feel oh so fantastic. And I'll be totally honest with you, we have spent quite literally thousands of dollars getting this right. For a very limited time, head to CarSauce store, put in your order. Once everyone has put in their order, we will finalize that and ship it to you. But yeah, this is pretty exciting. You're gonna be seeing a few more pieces of this, but who knows how long.
Honestly, we might never do this again, so just get it now.
And help support CarSauce so we can try and move away from OEM advertising. That'd be nice. Okay, bye.
Bye.
And then there's the bum on this thing, which again, I think looks really good. I do like these tail lights here. Everest spelt out. Is that another bloody halogen bulb? God damn it. You also get black badging, both front and rear actually, and you get a black bumper. This is part of another kit I'll tell you about on the inside, and you get your Tremor badging there too. Overall, I think this is a really, really good looking SUV. Honestly, one of my favorite off-roader SUVs. If I had to get one, it'd probably be this. Based on the looks anyway. Let's check out the practicality. All right, so what about practicality? Well, it does have a powered tailgate. You would expect it at this price point. And then that opens up actually a decent amount of room. 259 litres with the back seat up. If you drop these down, which is very easy to do, you get 898 litres of boot space. And then if you drop the third row, you get something stupid like 2,000 litres. Under here, you get a jack, and that's good because under here is a full-size spare wheel, as you would expect for an off-road SUV. Yep, a very practical SUV indeed. need. Let's check out the interior. Alrighty. Let's talk interior now of the Ford Everest Tremor. I'm trembling in I'm shivering in my timbers right now. So what's new with the interior of the Tremor? What's unique for it? Well, you get these Tremor specific seats with the Tremor badge embroidered into them and some nice trim to them too. That's unique for the Tremor. Tremor. I don't even know anymore. Anyway, they feel very nice. This does have, well, every package option available. The one I would recommend though highly is the $1,100 premium seating package, because not only does that give you 10-way power adjustment up from 8 for the driver and 8-way power adjusting for the passenger, which should be standard anyway, but anyway, you will also get heated and cooled seats and memory function if you care about that. But it's the heated and cooled seats that are really important, especially in Australia. The cooled seats, you want it in summer. So $1,100 really in the grand scheme of this car is a small cost, and I would highly, highly recommend you option that with your Tremor. Kind of annoying that it isn't included, especially at this price point. You would see that included in the Platinum for not much more, but hey, there's that. What else is new? Well, you get this medium dark, yes, that's its name, stitching all around the cabin. Essentially, it's like a kind of very dark gray, but not quite black, if you care about that. And how could I forget the precision gray accents, which is just another bit of trim they put in here and in the door as well. Otherwise, this is very much the interior of an Everest. It doesn't change too much, even across all of the grades. Obviously, the Platinum gets the bougie interior, but this is 95% of the way there. That means you get soft touch materials in some places, but still scratchy up on the dash. This is all nice and soft though, which is good. The center armrest, ooh, is very soft and padded. Heaps of space in there. In case you want some snacks, yes, they really try to bribe you with snacks here on launches. I'm joking. In case some of you don't quite get that. You have a split glove box, which I really do love. Heaps of space in the top and heaps of space in the bottom too. And my favorite feature of all time in any vehicle has to be these, the cup holders in the dash. They're just perfect because if you have a bottle of water, you put them in there, keeps it cold, keeps it warm, and also really easy to grab. Got another couple of cup holders here, a wireless phone charger, USB-C fast charger, USB-A port, and a little storage area there. Up in front of these two cup holders, by the way, is a Macca's fry holder. And they've put a little Fry's logo in there because they know that you like some Macca's fries, just like me. And that's okay. That's how we got to where we are today, body-wise. You have your shifter here. Not my favorite shifter in the world. For example, if you want to get into manual mode, you have to press M and then shift through that. It's just a bit of a faff, if I'm being totally honest with you. And a few other buttons here as well, which we'll dive more into when we take this thing off-road. But you do have your drive mode selector here. You get a bunch of drive modes, including a new rock crawl mode. Again, we'll come back to that. But essentially all that does is change your throttle, traction control, four-wheel drive system, and that's about it. Oh, and transmission logic as well. So there's a bunch of different ones for different scenarios, which does help off-road. Honestly, in some cases, it can negate the need for physical, mechanical locking differentials, which is pretty crazy. You have your four-wheel drive selector here. Gone is the two-wheel drive variant from the Ford Everest. You can no longer get that, and that is for emissions reasons. Now you can only get this as a four-wheel drive, but that's the only way I would have my Everest, to be honest, including your permanent four-wheel drive 4A, 4 low for your low range transfer case, and 4 high. Weird complaint here, but I'm gonna make it anyway. Your drive mode selector has so much movement to it. This is something you'll only find in the newer Everests, and that is because it has a trailer brake assist now, which is when you turn this, the steering wheel will turn, make it easier to back up, for example, your load, whatever that means. Yeah, so it just has a long throw to it. It's kind of annoying to use when you're driving on the road. So that's something I've picked up. You have your off-road button here. I'm still not entirely sure what it's called, but if you press it, it brings up a big menu on your 12.3-inch display. It is a big display and is one of the best out there. Really easy to use. It is in portrait format, which some people love and some people don't for some reason. But anyway, pick your poison. Here you can lock your rear differential and you have your hill descent control as well. You can just see a bunch of off-roading stuff, which is really useful when you are off-road. Wow, doesn't that make sense? Captain Obvious, idiot. No wonder your mum didn't love you. And yep, you guessed it, this does have the optional touring pack, which gives it this 360-degree camera. It also gives you a tow bar, your integrated trailer brake control here, and your Pro Trailer Backup Assist, this long shifty knob thing. So yeah, that's honestly a really important addition to have, and it's kind of annoying it's not included in the price. And again, it just starts to push it up into that Platinum territory, and unless you really want this off-road tuned suspension, you gotta really think about whether or not this is the one for you. Otherwise, this screen is fantastic fantastic, super duper snappy. It used to be terrible, but they've updated it since. And I say terrible, it just had a lot of bugs to it, but they've fixed that, including Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, both of which work flawlessly. They're both wireless, and there is no stuttering and micro lags like it used to have. By the way, your air conditioning controls, it is a digi analog setup. It's a good setup, and that's because you still have your important physical controls here, which is your temperature and your fan speed, and everything else is in the display. Whew, what else is there? Well, there is this steering wheel, which is a nice leather unit. On the left-hand side, you have your adaptive cruise controls, and yes, this thing will drive itself down the highway and does a really good job of it, keeping you a safe distance from the car in front of you. And on the right-hand side, you have your digital instrument controls. Speaking of, again, kind of a shame that you get the essentially base model digital instrument cluster up in front of you. This isn't the big ass unit, it is the small unit. And so yes, it shows exactly the same information. It's just smaller, and when you're spending this kind of money, you'd kind of expect it to be, well, what you get in the Platinum, for example. Again, something you also miss is the Bang & Olufsen sound system. Instead, you get this no-name system, which is okay, but it's not mind-blowing. So it might sound like I'm complaining a lot, and I am kind of nitpicking here. When you are spending this kind of money, you do expect some of these features. Still a very nice place to be. Big mention to these as well. Your auxiliary switches are up here, and it looks like 3 are pre-wired as well, which is good. But let me know what you guys think of the interior of the Tremor. Did they do enough to differentiate it from the rest of the lineup? And do you think some of those optional extras should be included? Let's check out the back seats. Alrighty, so back seats, what's it like back here? Well, I am extremely tall at 5'11", and I have good amount of legroom, a decent amount of toe room, though I am wearing big fat boots, so that doesn't help, and I'm getting heaps of headroom there as well. So it's a nice place to be. My legs are at a good angle, which is very important. You still get soft touch materials here in the back, so it feels a premium. Some pretty big door bins there as well, I'm noticing. Some really good features as well for the Everest. So you get this household socket here. It is 400 watts, which is actually pretty substantial. And you have your fan speed controller, which I'm obsessed with because it's just so quick to respond. I love it. Your vents are up here, so it's nice to have it blowing directly in your face. And you have a USB-C port and USB-A port as well. Of course, you get this leather in the back. No Tremor badging here, sadly. With a fold-down center armrest and the slowest opening cup holders I've ever seen. But hey, at least you get them, unlike in the GWM Cannon, where you don't. Close all that up. Also included with the Everest Tremor are all-terrain floor mats, mud mats, which is a nice little feature. You also have mat pockets there too. And of course, there is the third row. Now, one thing the Everest has not aged well with is its third row, because frankly, it's possibly just okay. So this seat is not actually in its furthest back position, and at 5'11", I really don't have much space. And even though I made a joke earlier saying I'm really tall, I'm really not. Don't forget to deploy your headrest. I do have enough headroom, and toe room again is abysmal, but I am wearing boots, so I'll have to give it a pass for now. You also have some vents in the roof. You can slide this seat forward and get more space, but then you do compromise on back seat space. So as long as your back seat passengers are willing to compromise, in the third row, you'll be just fine, kind of. You have some cup holders here and a 12-volt socky-wocky back there as well, in case you want to charge your devices. And of course, you do get the nice leather back here too, but it's certainly not a place I would want to spend too much time. And so yeah, I think some competitors just do it better. Dare I say, the Toyota Prado, dare I say. But I'll tell you what's not compromised in boot space. CarSauce buy. That's a reference to my Prado review. If you haven't watched that, go watch that. Yeah, if you want to get the absolute best price on your next new car with cars that are actually in stock around Australia and you don't want to have to negotiate and haggle yourself, just Google CarSauce buy. I have a dedicated team of car buyers who have helped thousands of Aussies buy their new car. We literally make dealers fight each other to get you the best price possible. And best of all, it is a totally free service for you. We charge the dealers a fixed fee. And so that also means that we go in the hardest to get you the best price possible, because it doesn't matter what you pay, we just want to make the dealers pay. So if that sounds good to you, and it definitely should, join our thousands of happy Aussie customers at CarSauce buy. Just Google us and we will take care of you. Alrighty, I think it's time to launch it. Alrighty guys, now it's time to launch the Ford Everest, the Tremor. Is it slower being on these general grabber tires? Let's find out. We have our specialist timing gear. Oh, auto stop start has decided to kick in. Yes, that's working well. We're gonna brake boost it with automatic 4-wheel drive on, essentially to get better grip. Let's do it. Here we go, fist me. Not the craziest takeoff I've ever done, and you can see it's just changing gears and changing gears. All right, what did we get? Let's pull over and find out. 0 to 100 in 9.64 seconds. We've certainly gotten faster with the V6, and so I reckon that all has to do with the fact that it does have big, fat, all-terrain tires on it. Still, it's okay. Let's drive this thing normally. Alrighty guys, driving the Ford Everest Tremor. Let's give it some sauce. I honestly can never not love this engine. It is, of course, the 3-litre turbocharged V6 diesel engine, pumping out 184 kilowatt of power, 600 newton meters of torque. Yes, that remains class leading. You put your foot down and you just get so much punch through the powertrain. I really love it. Interestingly, the Tremor Ranger gets the 4-cylinder bi-turbo only, and this only comes with the 3-litre V6. They're actually positioned quite differently. This is much more premium, whereas that is more of a more budget-friendly off-roader. Interesting, right? But what this does share with that is its dampers. The Bilstein position-sensitive monotube dampers with an external nitrogen-filled reservoir. What the does that mean? Well, really what that means, well, all you need to know is that it's just better for off-roading. It's better for wheel articulation. Essentially, the oil won't get as hot as it will if it was inside this monotube damper. Now, the way it translated to the ute was really quite bad. It was very rough riding, and when you combined it with its leaf-sprung rear end, the dampers just felt pretty awful. Here, it definitely feels firmer than what you would find in a regular Everest, but almost a little bit more sporty. It actually feels pretty fantastic here, and I think it's because of the coil-sprung rear end. Really, this has a different suspension setup to the Ranger, despite it sharing such a platform. And as a result, even when you turn a corner, body roll is weirdly quite minimal for such a large 7-seat SUV, and it handles super well. Now, we are actually in too high at the moment. If we press 4A, it gives you permanent four-wheel drive. Essentially, it's got a trick central locking differential that allows it to send up to 50% of power to the front wheels, though it remains rear-wheel drive bias in all other occasions, and to save fuel as well. It is a 10-speed automatic, and yeah, it's a good 10-speed automatic. I remember the previous Everest did not have a good 10-speed automatic, but they changed the torque converter, and that made it, well, frankly, a lot better. In terms of fuel economy, yeah, it's not ideal. So on this drive, we are getting 10.9 liters per 100 kilometers. You know what? I take that back. For a V6, that's pretty good. Really, you get the same fuel economy as you would get in the 4-cylinder bi-turbo, and while that engine is fine and punchy enough, this V6 turbo, honestly, I just prefer it. Yeah, it's really interesting. These dampers are far stiffer than what you'd find in the regular Everest. We've been driving them back to back today, and that actually does make it handle significantly better. Interesting. I'm really liking the way that this thing is driving. Honestly, it is probably the best driving Everest out there, which is interesting to say. And of course, being Australian developed, including the Bilstein dampers, it has such a good ride quality to it. Frankly, one of the best. I'm really enjoying my time driving it. Well, we've also been driving off-road all day. Here's how it performs. Alrighty guys, off-roading in the Ford Everest Tremor. What is their most hardcore Everest-like off-road? Well, it's on paper stats are really, really good. You get an approach angle of 32 degrees, which is 1.8 degrees better than a Ford Everest Sport. A ramp over angle of 23.8 degrees, which is 1.8 degrees better than an Everest Sport, and a departure angle of 26.8 degrees, which is, again, 1.8 degrees better than an Everest Sport. Now, the biggest changes when you go off-road is really the suspension and its geometry. So the fact that this thing is wider, the fact that this thing is higher, so you get better ground clearance at a very good 255 millimeters, and also the fact that you get the Bilstein position-sensitive monotube dampers with an external nitrogen reservoir. Essentially what that means is you get better wheel articulation over a longer day of off-roading because the oil reservoir is outside of the damper itself and can therefore stay a bit cooler. But also the fact that you get a wider car and a higher car means that off-road, yeah, it is just better, and it is very, very good. Another huge thing, and you cannot underestimate this when you do take any off-roader off-road, is the tires. The General Grabbers, despite having an extremely dirty name, these AT3s are a very good tire. Okay, so now we're getting to some pretty gnarly off-road sections. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the car into neutral. I'm gonna put this into 4 low because yes, it has a low range transfer case. Put it back into drive, and then I'm gonna press this multi-terrain select, or whatever the hell they call it, button. Press that. Oh, it's stuck in this one. Check that out. Just get stuck. not great. Anyway, pressed it, and now I'm going to put on the center locking differential, and through I go. So there's a couple of other things I need to tell you about. One is it gets 800 millimeters of wading depth, which is very good. In fact, it's class leading for really any larger SUV like this. I have to say, I'm noticing the extra track width here. It is certainly quite a wide beast, but handling it really well. The other thing is just the wheel articulation. It is really good. Again, straight from the factory, it is one of the best off-roaders, and I've done a lot of off-roading in Ford Rangers and Everest now, and yeah, this thing is pretty good. The last thing to talk about is its new drive mode. It is unique, but it is rock crawl. And what rock crawl does is it changes your throttle response. It also changes your traction control system. I'm in it now, and it feels way slower than before, which is all intentional. You want to have as much grip as possible at low speeds. So yeah, it seems to be doing the job really well. And often these systems are just really good at taking away a lot of the mechanical need of driving off-road and doing it via software. So yeah, very, very impressive. But yeah, overall, this thing is an extremely competent off-roader. Like I said, done a lot of off-roading today. This is not the most challenging part of it, and it's handled it with absolute ease. Alrighty, let's get into our final thoughts. Alrighty guys, final thoughts on the Ford Everest Tremor. Should you be rushing out, going to buy one of these? Well, unlike the Wild Track, this is not a limited edition. I do love a lot about it. I love the way it rides, honestly. The firmer suspension makes it even better than a Ford Ranger Tremor, that's for sure. And I also love the way it looks, and its performance off-road is absolutely fantastic. However, when the Platinum exists for about the same price, it makes me think if you aren't going off-roading or you're just touring, then definitely go for the Platinum. And also you can make those changes to the Platinum as well for a few $1,000s and just get some nicer bits and bobs on the inside. Not to say I don't think there is a place for the Tremor. If you want something factory capable with a factory warranty, then absolutely the Tremor is the way to go. But just think about the Platinum when you're spending this much money. Still blows all of its competition out of the water, so I'm not even going to mention them. But let me know what you guys think. Are you going to be rushing out to buy the Ford Everest Tremor? And of course, if you want to pay the best price possible and not what they want you to pay, make sure you Google CarSauce Buy. My dedicated team of car buyers will help you get the best price possible. Free for you. You'd be stupid not to. Ciao for now.